Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. My name is Mike Amos. His name is Forrest Lee, and we're ready to go on a Tuesday. Forrest Lee, what about it, buddy?
It's the 13th day of July, and I believe it's National Pecan Pie Day. And
National Pecan Pie Day. That's right down my line now. Do you like? There's nothing better to me. There's nothing better than a good piece of pecan pie with vanilla ice cream on top of it after you've heated it in the oven. Right. That's why I love my pecan pie.
Yeah, and I haven't cooked one in a while. I need to get back in it.
Well, you sure make good ones. I tell you, you might better not publicize it too much. You'll have all that pecan pie to do. But what you do, you just schedule it. You say, well, I'll have you one on September or December or whatever.
Maybe so.
Well, as far as Lee is our guest, and Forrest, what have you been about doing?
Well, this past weekend, they had the Take a Kid Fishing Day. It's normally on Father's Day weekend, but they had to delay it because of the weather. And they had 35 children this past Saturday at Clay Hill Farms. And on behalf of Mr. Jerry Jenwright, the conservation officer, he wanted to thank the Darrell family for hosting it, Clay Hill Farms, along with Walmart, the Alabama Conservation Enforcement Officers Association, and the Alabama Wildlife and Freshwater Fisheries Division. Ariara Scott in the 5 to 8 year old group, she caught 10 pounds of catfish.
Oh, man.
Giara Scott in the 9 to 12 year old division caught 11 pounds.
Oh, boy.
And in the 13 to 15 year old age division, David Tillery caught 4 pounds and 4 ounces. So there were 35 kids there, and they caught over 100 pounds of catfish.
Did they take it home with them?
They get to take it home with them.
Now, did they have people to take it off the hook?
Sure. They had some assistance from their parents and grandparents.
I tell you,
conservation
catfish are hard to deal with, I tell you.
Well, I'd rather kind of
you
skin one.
Careful,
Yeah, I'd rather skin a catfish than scale a fish. A brim,
really?
a bass. Yeah, I'd rather
scale one than skin one.
Yeah.
But I used to do it quite a bit, in my day. But don't always look forward to skinning a catfish.
Right. And we got some couple of softball team and a baseball team so far going to the World Series. Yesterday, the 6 and under state champions are the Troy girls. They're 6 and under. They defeated. They won yesterday 12-11 over Montgomery American. They're heading to Alexandria, Virginia. Alexandria, Louisiana. And they're coached by Whitney Brown, Tom Smith, and Greg Barnett and Anthony Kilpatrick. They're the 8 and under players. Their names are Brooklyn Kilpatrick, Sarah Brown, Scarlett Barnett, Peyton Jones, Chandler Coe, Bella Newgard, Kate Barron, Charlie McDougall, Ariel Holland, Andy Smith, Claire Dixon, and Zalaria Reynolds. So congratulations to them. They'll be going the 31st of July to Louisiana.
Well, let me tell you on the next one, because I know you got some more. What are your other ones?
All right, the 8 and under All-Stars. They played 3 games yesterday.
Unreal. I think it's unprecedented. I don't know if a Troy team's ever had to win 3 straight games to go to the World Series.
They had to beat AUM twice.
That's out of Montgomery.
And they defeated them 12-3 and 12-9. And in the last win, they were down 8-3. They came back and won 12-9.
Yeah.
To face Enterprise, and they defeated Enterprise 6-2. They'll be going to Laurel, Mississippi. They're coached by Adam Brookins, along with Scott Ross, Noah Holton, Rick Cochran. Those are the coaches.
Yeah, okay.
So the team members are Noah Holton, Zane Brookins, Trace Russell, Elliot Cochran, Coggins Brown. That's Matt's son. Matt's his daddy.
Okay.
Matt Brown.
Yeah, okay.
Jalen Copeland, Parker Precise, Judd Ross, Barrett Powell, Cole Cleveland, I believe that's Delaney's grandson.
Yeah, that's right.
Ethan Ernsberger and Alex Gutierrez.
Oh, man.
You know, and next year you can read the same thing. They'll just be 9 years old.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I've watched a lot of baseball over the years. I mean, a lot of it. And I don't know if I could ever be more impressed with a group of 8 and under boys that are going to the World Series. Here they are. They lose any game. They'd already lost one game.
That was Sunday.
Yeah, with that Dothan. I don't know exactly what team it was that beat them.
AUM.
AUM. So then they come back and they beat AUM twice, like you said. Mm-hmm. Yesterday morning, they played at 10 o'clock. Then right after that, about an hour after that, they played another game against AUM. This time, go ahead and get him. This time it was a situation that AUM jumped out to an 8-0 start. Then Troy got 3, and then all the way down to the latter part of the game, Troy came back to win that game 12-9, and then last night, then a couple hours later, they play Enterprise for the championship and beat them 16-2.
6-2.
6-2.
But you know, going back to Sunday, they lost to AUM.
Yeah.
And then the next game, they had to come back and defeat Opelika in a walk-off type of fashion.
That's right. Yeah.
And then yesterday they won those 3 games. Had to beat AUM
just phenomenal.
twice.
So really, actually, if you consider the Opelika game, they won 4 straight games.
Right.
You would think so.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, and of course there are a lot of good teams in here. Now, something that is unusual, not unusual, it's a coach pitch.
Yes,
This team, these 8-year-olds were pitched. Their coach pitched, and I felt sort of sorry for especially the Enterprise coach. He had to throw strikes, and he was getting worn out. He had thrown a lot of pitches, and so had the Troy pitcher, man coach that was pitching. It was just a tremendous effort by these 8-year-olds, not 8th graders, but 8-year-olds from Troy. And now they head to the World Series in Mississippi.
They're going to Laurel, Mississippi.
Laurel, Mississippi, that's right. Good morning, hello.
Laurel, Mississippi is where that show Hometown is, that invaded Wetumpka that everybody likes so much.
Oh, really? Is that where they're from?
Yeah.
That's going toward Hattiesburg.
Uh-huh.
Refurbished all of Laurel's old homes there.
Oh, yeah. But that's where that couple's from?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
That's close to where Eric Mizell's from, too.
I tell you who, now he's from Loosedale. Now, I tell you who,
close to it.
Billy's from Laurel. That's where
Billy Jeffcoat.
Billy Jeffcoat from here in Troy is from. He originates from Laurel, Mississippi, and that's where the 8 and under will be playing in the World Series. So I tell you, I can't say enough about the effort of these 8-year-old boys. That they won 3 straight games. Any one of those games that they lose, they're out of the tournament. And
yeah, and the 6 and under girls are going to all the way to Louisiana.
Yeah, so they're going to Alexandria.
6 and under.
There is a pretty good friend of mine who lives here in Troy, and she's from Alexandria, and she's lived over here in Troy for quite a few years.
Hey, well, Michael, speaking of baseball, Mr. Mike, the new head coach at Goshen is Chandler Avant. Michael?
I tell you what.
Baseball. Yeah, I saw that on Facebook last night.
I tell you, I just don't expect anything but good things from Goshen High School, because Chandler is an outstanding young man, and he also was an outstanding player in his own right. He played in the pros for a year or two, didn't he, Mike?
Yeah, I think he played in the minors. I think he got up to single A, I guess.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and a lot of players got released, and he was one of the ones who got released. And I think he's 26 years old, so he's a young coach, just like Chase, and just like
and they're all real good friends. You know, a thing that gets me, Avant had a very good college career at the University of Alabama. He got his school paid for and went on and played for Alabama. And he was quite good. Didn't you think, Mike?
Yeah, I think he was a career 280 hitter, I believe, which is bad.
And
I think he had some injuries that kind of hurt him a little bit,
yeah.
but I think he got drafted in the 32nd round and with the Mets, I believe.
That wasn't bad. You said the
32nd. It's just so hard though when you get drafted so late in the round, especially when you're in the 30s. You got so many guys in front of you got to beat out.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll have him on some of our shows. We got 2 or 3 shows now on our Troy Cable Network. What else do you got here?
Well, let's see. In the home run derby last night, Pete Alonso won his 2nd straight home run derby. He hit 74 total, which I think they're wearing those guys out.
Oh, I know it.
It's like you got to hit so many in so many
I know
minutes.
it takes a long time to get there. You're right.
And he defeated Trey. He bested Otani, Mancini, and Soto. But they were at Coors Field in Colorado, and I still kind of disappointed that the Braves, Atlanta, lost the chance to host the All-Star game.
Yeah, me too.
And but they play tonight, don't they, Michael? An All-Star game tonight?
Yes, tonight.
Yeah, well, I believe so.
I used to really get years ago. I used to really get glued in on the All-Star game because mainly, other than regular season and the World Series, that's the only game you're gonna get.
Well, Tani, he's going to lead off, and then he's going to be the starting pitcher. But you could tell he was gassed. He was wore out after that home run derby, so it takes a lot out of you to swing that many times, that much force.
And of course,
so,
this is the only break.
One of the starting pitchers.
This is the only break these pro players get. They got last night, and they're gonna get tonight. These are players other than All-Star, and they get one more from that, and then they're ready going back to play. But it is a 4-day, I think, vacation for the regular season players.
They'll either start back Thursday or Friday. I'm not real sure.
And of course, we've got
Logan Sinnery went the 10th round, the Detroit player.
All right, well, he's liable. Do you think he'll make some money or what?
Yeah, I think he made over $100,000 going in the 10th round.
Well, that's good. That's good, and that's a lot of money.
Went to the Phillies. I think he was like the 259th pick overall.
I tell you one thing I noticed about him. But I don't know if he could run any better than the one we had last year that was drafted. But Logan can throw it. I mean, he's got a good arm, but he can really run too.
Mike, I was researching. I don't know if y'all mentioned it yesterday, but of the 36 players that were picked the first day, 19 of those players were high school players. 8 of those players were shortstops out of high school.
Well,
of the top 36
athlete,
players. And, of course, the first player picked was the catcher from Louisville, Henry Davis, and I think his signing bonus is going to be between $8 and $9 million.
I'm a little bit concerned about us losing Gilchrist, the shortstop for Brantley. He's pretty good, and he could be drafted next year.
Could be, maybe so. Hope he
But
does.
how long does the draft go, Mike? How many rounds?
I think it's into the 30s now.
Wow. And so they still got a few more rounds to go. Is that right?
I don't know if they finished it yesterday or not. I'll have to look and see.
Mike, of course, we were jumping around this morning, and what else?
The kid out of UMS Rising saw him missing mistake, decided he was going to go ahead and sign with the Dodgers. Can't blame him. He was the 29th pick overall.
And see, he's going to get big money, and of course, UMS Rising.
He's going to make $2 million, I believe.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Well, did you see where the United States basketball team lost again last night?
But
They lost to, it's an exhibition. They lost to Australia, 91-83.
If you're going to lose, you want to lose an exhibition.
They're just getting the kinks out, I guess.
Yeah, I tell you, these other places are catching up with us, I tell you.
And the Suns will play the Bucks tonight at 8 o'clock. The Suns are leading 2-1, and if you want to get a ticket to that game, the cheap seats are about $500 to go watch an NBA basketball game.
Exactly. I don't even know if I could sit there and watch it for a whole game. I just can't get into it. But maybe so. Maybe so. It would be a good time. What time does that one get going?
It's going to be 8 o'clock tonight.
8
I think
o'clock.
they're playing in Milwaukee for Game 4.
Yeah.
And Michael, you remember the wrestler Mr. Wonderful?
I bet he did.
He passed.
The great Paul Orndorff.
Yeah, he passed away. He played football for the University of Tampa. He was selected by the New Orleans Saints, but he failed his physical, so he started pro wrestling. And Rodney Piper nicknamed him Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah. Okay.
But he passed away, 71 years old.
The big stars back in the day, back in the 80s.
Yeah, he was one of the first 4 to be in WrestleMania. So, Mr. Wonderful.
I had a buddy of mine send me a text about him yesterday. We always keep up all the old wrestlers that passed away. South Alabama had a kid that was drafted in the second round.
And that's the kid from Andalusia, Mike. I think.
Yeah, from Andalusia.
And he's a coach's son. He's a football coach's son, and really, I think that I want to say.
Coach Andalusia's last name was Taylor.
Well, maybe you could be right.
Yeah, I believe so.
Ethan
Maybe it's the
Wilson.
baseball coach's son.
Yeah, Ethan Wilson is one of the coaches on Andalusia. Maybe, I don't know if he's a baseball coach or what, but he is from Andalusia, and he second round. He's liable to make a little money, isn't he?
Well, he should make a lot of money. 49th pick overall.
Yeah, and of course that's congratulations to the Andalusia youngster, and I remember he played at South Alabama.
How about a $1.5 million signing bonus?
Is that what he got?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Good deal. Millionaire from Andalusia now. And also the domino tournament ended, and there was some.
Yeah, Will won doubles, I believe.
What? Will won doubles?
Are you sure?
I thought he said he finished first in something on Facebook.
Okay, let's see. Hopefully he'll call in today, and we'll find out how Will Matthews, our guy, did in the Domino World Series. And of course, that went on in Andalusia this past weekend, and I heard there was a lot of people were in the running.
Well, the way I read it was Pat Hickey won singles from Hallettsville, Texas. Michael Goodson from Andalusia finished second in singles, and
All right.
maybe it was mixed. But in doubles, I had Mackie Barnes and Shannon Johnson won doubles. Barnes is from Mississippi, and Johnson's from Missouri. And in second place was Kevin Price from Andalusia and Eddie Cuban. I thought that's what I read on Facebook, but it could be a mixed doubles.
But let's say this though, there's 2 Andalusia people in the top in the winning part. Two of them were from Andalusia.
Yeah, they had the youth division too, but I don't have all those results in front of me. Maybe it'll be listed in the Andalusia Star.
And hopefully Will call in today and find out how he did. And I'm sure he did well. He's an outstanding, he's been doing it for a long time. And I think he won one year and placed in the top 3 or 4 other than that.
And some more big news. Zach Johnson will not be playing in the in the Open Championship. He has contracted COVID. So we've lost another player there, and that adds to the list.
He just played. He played last weekend in the John Deere.
Yeah.
And they say if he had gotten on the plane, that everybody on that plane would have been disqualified or been unable to play because they would have had contact with him, even though they were vaccinated. It's like Bubba Watson has been vaccinated. He was near someone with COVID. by the rules of that country and the golf association over there, they're not allowing him to play because he was near someone with COVID, even though he's been tested or even though he tests negative, still can't play.
Hard to believe a guy like Zach Johnson's won 2 majors, but he has won the Masters and won the British Open.
Yeah. And I hate that Bubba's not going to play. Bubba's my favorite player, one of my favorite players. I really like to watch him play. I like to watch him play because I feel like when Bubba plays, that he's always the underdog. I don't know why. Why is Bubba not very friendly, Mike?
This is demeanor. I mean, that's
his demeanor.
Anxiety issues.
He does. But
he's been.
He's a big proponent of the CBD oils.
Oh, is he? He's big on CDB.
Yeah, he's doing a lot of those.
But he's big in that. Now you know some people that were pretty big in that too, don't you?
Well, I mean, it's all over the place down here, everywhere you go.
Did it sell?
I mean, it's legal, and it's not. It doesn't have the THC that it's like marijuana.
Well, what did it do for a person, Mike? Do you know?
I mean, a lot of people think it, kind of relaxes you.
CDB. It's called CDB oil. CBD oil, and.
But what's he been diagnosed with? He has some type of anxiety issue, and that's probably leads to some of his not being as open and friendly. But that's just his mannerisms. But DeChambeau has a new caddy, Ben Ziegler, who's the lead instructor at Dallas National. So will be taking a new caddy with him, and that will start tomorrow. That will start Thursday.
From what I gather, that caddy will make 10% of the golfer's earnings. Is that about right? Have you heard that, Mike?
Yeah, that's right.
10%. And then Mike Amos calling in from Grayton Beach, Florida. How's it look down there today?
That's pretty nice. My little girl's giving me a head cold. That's pretty noticeable. I'm having a hard time speaking. But,
well, that means we'll get it too. I was wrestling around with those girls.
Kids get me sick all the time. So
I tell you what, they're the cutest things. We're so proud of them. Either that or the world's coldest pool that you have down on the beach that I got in for about an hour and a half, got me sick. I don't know. I don't know why that pool is so cold. I mean, it's you would think that the hot sun would warm it up, but it doesn't, does it?
Is it a concrete pool or a?
Yes, a concrete pool.
Yeah, concrete. Yeah.
Michael, did you see where that fan took Roy McIlroy's club out of his bag?
What happened? Tell me about it.
Why that happened? But that is bizarre.
Yeah, at the Scottish Open, this fan walked up and got his 6-iron out of the bag and was acting like he was fixing to tee it up. He was probably under the influence of something.
Grab his head cover. Like Roy McIlroy and John Rahm are looking like amazement. They didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, they called security on him, and and McIlroy, he missed the cut too.
He did
in the Scottish Open.
Yeah.
But that's what happened. A fan just come up out of the bag and act like he was fixing to tee the ball up.
Boy,
and security come and got him.
I tell you, that is something.
I'll tell you what, the United States, they wouldn't have walked that guy off. They would have ran out there and tackled him. They were very nonchalant about all that.
I would think that 6-iron was probably pretty prevalent as far as his golf club is concerned. I reckon, there's not a club that they don't use in an 18-hole round, don't you think?
What they were talking about too about the COVID issue with the golfers at the Open is they're going to allow like 36,000 fans each day to be on the course, and that it's like they're kind of you're going to keep somebody from playing who's had the vaccine, who tests negative. But then you're going to turn around and let 40,000 fans in each day to watch the golf tournament.
Yeah, that's right. Right. I hope everybody is, we're getting the Troy Life out, and I know that guy right there, and I hope you'll drop by the newsstand and pick you up one. Bill Rice did me justice, I tell you. He did a great job. Did you read it?
I've read some of it.
Yeah,
I've got it in my bag. I just hadn't had a chance to read it yet.
Bill, I think, really did a good job of presenting my end of it, but also of the Troy Cable end. And Harold Freeman, what a great guy he was, and how he could see it. You know, a lot of people couldn't see having sports on Troy Cable back then, all the way back to the mid '80s.
You know, I can remember
Harold Freeman did, and he said, "Go to it."
I first met him when I was working full time at the National Guard Armory, like from 1984 to 1987. I'd meet Mother at the Country Kitchen for supper.
Yeah.
And a lot of times Mr. Harold will be out there with his wife eating supper.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in just a moment. Come on up here, girl. Come on.
When it comes to surgery, precision is perfection. The very latest technology available ensures the best possible outcome. The Mako robotic arm-assisted surgery system is now available at Troy Regional Medical Center. Skilled orthopedic surgeon Dr. Robert L. Liljeberg and his team provide patients with faster recovery and better movement after a knee replacement surgery. When accuracy matters, you deserve the very best. Troy Regional Medical Center.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
This is my chart from Southeast Health.
And you're gonna want to make it yours.
Not because it's free,
But because it's priceless. Because with my chart, you can schedule appointments online with your provider.
You can email your provider and get answers.
Get test results.
refill prescriptions,
and manage your family's health care. You know how we all want health care to be easier?
But no one seems to listen?
Well, someone did. Southeast Health.
To get your free My Chart app,
visit your app store or go to southeasthealth.org.
Troy Cable Security makes it easy to stay aware and stay in control of your home wherever you are. User-friendly interface allows easy navigation for lights, locks thermostat, video and garage doors. Never worry about leaving your garage door open or the front door unlocked. Your mobile app can send alerts to your phone for alarm and no alarm events. Know when your children arrive home from school with video response. Make sure your home is powered by Troy Cable Security for ultimate access, awareness, and protection.
I love that picture. I've always.
We're back.
Back to our show, and guess who's here, ladies and gentlemen? Morgan Lindsay. Morgan Drinkard is with us, and of course, good to have you with us this morning. And we always like to have Morgan on here because she's like us. She's a good gift for gab.
That's what my husband says.
And of course, what's going on with you?
Nothing much. We're having a good summer. I'm not teaching at the university this summer. We did a lot of online classes, and so I kind of took the summer off. And we have been getting ready, though, for the fall semester. So we're kind of hoping to return back to last year. We were at the university. We were in a lot of pod schedules and hybrid classroom settings with COVID, and most of everything's going to return back to normal in the fall. So.
Yeah, this is a good topic because everybody, I think, is concerned about enrollment and so forth. But from what I gather, and I go over to orientation quite a bit, the numbers are pretty good.
Yeah, enrollment is up. Enrollment has been up at particularly the Troy campus for the past 2 years, consecutively. And, we're looking forward to all those traditional students. I think a lot of these students that we'll have coming in this year you know, their last 2 years of high school looked very different, and they're really craving a traditional experience. You know, they want something normal. They've had some real abnormal the past 2 years. So.
And you know, the thing it looks like to me is they're tired of staying at home. They want to get away from mama a little bit.
I think so, and I think that's healthy. I mean, I think that's kind of some of what we've created, and then I think you have the other side of it is that we have had some people see, some students see, you know, the advantages to the online learning, being able to work a full-time job, being able to travel or be somewhere else and still learn. And so that flexibility is nice. But I think particularly for a lot of the 18-year-olds, they're interested in some form of what they've dreamed of, you know, going off to college and being in a traditional classroom.
The interaction of with the instructor and other students.
What about the international students? Some of these international students have not been able to go home yet.
Yeah, the international students, I actually work with about 85 of our international students from Nanjing University, and they want to come back, but they can't with the travel restrictions. And so our 1-2-1 program that we have universities where they complete 1 year of studies in their home country, and they come to Troy to complete 2 years, and then they finalize that education with this last year in their home country. And so what we've struggled to do is to keep that consistent pattern with them not being here, because some classes aren't offered, particularly doing broadcast journalism. I mean, just like we're doing right now, sitting in a studio, working with cameras, working with green screens, working with production. There's only so much of that you can learn online. You know, Doc Kirby's trying to teach how to run a radio station and a switchboard online, and whereas normally he takes them down to WTVF and they sit, or at Troy Public Radio, and they work in the studio. And so some of our hands-on teaching, yes, we've had to adapt and evolve and had some new opportunities for that, but I guess that it evolved quicker than we wanted it to, not on our schedule.
Are the travel restrictions more from China or the United States, or a combination?
I think it's a combination, and I think it's a combination too of, because obviously we know a lot of people who have traveled internationally, you know, for leisure. But I think the difference, and I may be wrong in this, so don't hold me to this, but I believe that when they travel back here, the type of visa that they travel on is still restricted. Okay. So as we're seeing people who are traveling for leisure for short periods of time, they're trying to come on education visas that are not being approved right now. And I could be wrong in that, but I think that's the difference. I don't know that it's so much just the country-to-country travel, but it is the length of stay. And then the, of course, obvious concern of they come here, they do complete those studies. When will they be able to go back? What will that look like if there were to be, you know, more lockdowns?
So it looks like it could be
could be longer.
As far as international students, it's going to probably be a little short. What do you think?
Well, yes and no. I still had some brand new students from different countries in my classes last semester. I had 2 students from Australia. One from New Zealand, and.
But were they able to go home? I mean,
and they were playing. 2 of them were playing soccer, so they were playing sports. And I think the difference might. No, they traveled straight from their countries to begin.
So there is some travel.
So it may depend on the country.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, and the length of stay, and then also the partner institutions that we have might have different guidelines.
Are the Chinese still here? Were they able to all go home, or what?
I think it was a good mix. A lot of them went home, but some stayed here.
And they traveled and did things. You know, most of these kids do have money, don't they?
I think it's a good divide. I think either they have, their families have saved every penny to be able to put them into an educational program that will advance their life through coming to participate in one of our programs, or on the other end, they do have means to be able to spend. I think there's 2 very different ends.
And and when these kids are over here, we actually learn, don't we? We learn from them.
It's wonderful to teach in a classroom with students from different countries. I remember an advertising class that I taught a couple semesters ago, very small senior level advertising class. We only had 12 students, and out of the 12 students, only 4 were American students.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
We had 2 from China, 2 from Spain, 3 from Spain, 2 from I'm trying to remember. Maybe they were New Zealand as well, or another country. But when we began talking about advertising styles and campaigns, I mean, it almost turned into an international advertising class because the differences in exposure of messaging and cultural norms. You know, I remember us talking about the Burger King, "You can have it your way," slogan. And how that's very much an Americanized slogan because we want everything our way, and upgrading the Coca-Colas to the largest size. Oh, I know. I had 2 students that were from France, and they said, you know, well, you won't see those promotions for upgrading the extra large Cokes and stuff in France because, you know, you go into store and Coke is this big. You know, you don't buy a Coke this big. There's no biggie size Coca-Cola. We don't drink soda like that, you know. And so the opportunity for other students who haven't traveled to those countries to learn from and hear stories, I mean, is incredible.
Does marketing in China, they can't market and have social media like we have here.
Right.
There's restrictions with the government. They have a lot of government control.
Yeah. The government, free speech, the First Amendment, and that's one of the things I have to start with in teaching my students is I read that First Amendment and say that's First Amendment that's not present in other countries, and we take it for granted. And so yes, in China, a lot of control over, and also not only control over what's printed and what's spoken, but most media is owned by the government. So, for example, when I was teaching in Malaysia at SEGI, one of our partner universities, my students were reading a newspaper one morning, and they were all kind of huddled around it as we were beginning class, and I just noticed that the front page of the newspaper was different than the one that was delivered to my hotel room that morning. And so I just asked, I said, is this another paper? Because I was just learning about, because I knew that the government owned a lot of the media, and so I was surprised. And they kind of folded it up real quick, and they put it under their desk.
Right.
And come to find out through further, so I'm not going to get you in trouble, but basically that was the black market newspaper, and it's illegal. Yeah. But it's what's really happening versus what's published in the paper about what the government wants the people to think is happening. So, and social media, yes, there are restrictions over, particularly in teaching. We find that it's difficult. We use a lot of resources that are shared on YouTube, because it's just an easy video upload platform. But then when our students travel back to China and they try to take classes, many of those sites like YouTube are blocked.
Has our relationship, I mean, with all these kids, at one time we probably had 500 Chinese students here, didn't we?
Yeah.
And how did they adapt to our society?
How did they adapt to our society? Well, I think there were a lot of different things about particularly Troy, Alabama, being smaller and maybe not have as much of a melting pot as some of your larger cities like Atlanta or Miami or something like that. But a lot of them come to Troy because they know someone previously who has been here and enjoyed their experience. And so, like a lot of my students, they'll come from the same institution, the same city, they live near each other back home, and because they had a great experience, other people are coming. So I think that's a good testament to.
Now, the freedom that we enjoy, evidently they don't enjoy the freedoms that we have. Could you see the difference there?
I think they recognize the differences in the freedoms, but some are and some are not, actively partaking in what those freedoms may mean, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, I think they recognize them, they understand them, but their time is so short here that they may or may not have an opportunity to.
Were they ever argumentative at all? You know,
No.
They were pretty laid back.
No, most of our students from different countries too. Their perspective on the educator-student relationship is very different than our Americanized version of the educator-student. We've kind of gone into a little bit consumerism mode with our teacher-student relationship, as far as this is what I deserve, or this is what I get. And for them, the respect for their instructors, the respect for the time, the respect for the authority is much more reverent than.
How many times have you been back to China over the years?
Well, I've only been to Malaysia to teach one time. I've taught with SEGI twice, but the second time that I taught with that institution was last fall, and the travel restrictions were still. So the way that class, that partnership works with SEGI is they have certain American courses that they offer the whole semester, and then there's a 2.5 to 3 week period where there's a fly-in instruction. So meaning we teach them online, say the first 4 weeks of the semester. And then an instructor from Troy, and we have multiple departments. So we're teaching broadcast, or not broadcast journalism, but communication, the psychology department. I know Judson Edwards has been, I believe, so I think in business. So all these different degree programs, an instructor will fly there and teach like long periods, maybe 3.5, 4 hours a day, consecutively for 2 to 3 weeks, and then come back home and then continue to teach those students online. So the advantage of SEGI and those institutions is they get to promote and offer, fly-in American instruction.
Morgan, who's the director of international studies for Troy University? And when do y'all start classes this fall?
Now, of course, Mr. Porter worked with
Mr. Curtis Porter
worked with international programs for many years, and then Sohail Abatwala worked with international programs, but now he has just moved to fulfill Dr. Schmidt's place with student services. So not exactly sure who filled in or if they've designated that for his spot quite yet. But we begin classes Wednesday, August 11th.
Wednesday, August 11th, right around the corner. Less than a month.
Yes, less than a month.
Now, and of course, back to the international part of it.
As a teacher, if a student doesn't come to class very much, but he's still, I guess, is contributing enough to I guess, pass. How many classes can you miss now in college?
That's a good question.
So missing classes in college, that is usually up to the instructor's discretion, and is outlined in the syllabus for each course. I usually tell my students that I'm not showing up for entertainment, that we're coming to learn, and they can be there, they can not. But I always do think it's interesting when it feels like when I was in college, if you missed class, we call it skipped class, you wouldn't dare, contact the professor. You wouldn't bring attention to the fact that you maybe skipped class without some kind of excuse. But the students are very different today, and I do think that has to do with some of the what they're kind of mandated to do in K through 12, and then expecting that carries over into collegiate education. It doesn't necessarily, but they'll send an email. I was out of class. What happened today? And my general response to that is I can't explain in an email what I lectured on for an hour and 15 minutes. They think that they have the kind of privilege to be able to miss without an excuse, and then still there are obvious answers like chapter 7. But my perspective is that we don't cover what's in a textbook in lecture time, or else they could just read the textbook. You use that time for cultivating discussion of understanding of what's in that text or supplemental materials.
So Morgan, let me ask you this.
That being said, how long do you have to drop a
Without academic penalty, you usually have, so for the fall semester, I think the date is somewhere in October. So you have a pretty good length of time to see, this isn't going to work.
So if I'm in one of those classes where today half the class shows up, the other class watches on video, so technology has to be big within that classroom where the teacher is being podcast or whatever. But if a student misses that video, they have the ability to go online and see it if they missed it.
Are you talking about the new hybrid classes that they're offering?
The new hybrid.
So the new hybrid classes that they're offering, I'm not sure what the parameters around like that, being able to view the video after the class time are. For my classes in the fall and spring, when we were doing this hybrid situation where pod A was in front of me and then pod B, so I would have a camera set up, and as I'm talking to the class, I'm also talking to the camera as my laptop set up and doing a live Teams video with the rest of the class. I did not make that video available afterward.
I got you.
In my perspective, if someone missed, now there were exceptions like someone's in COVID quarantine or they have a university excuse, they could watch the video from where they were and not be in class, but from the way we were doing those classes, I didn't see the advantage of actually coming to class if you were going to be able to watch it in a video later on.
What kind of percentages, though? We're talking about a low percentage of students, aren't we? Or do a lot of people do this?
This was during, so in the past for the past two semesters, if you had a course that exceeded a certain size of the capacity of the classroom. So for example, one of the classrooms that I teach in, there's a capacity of 33. So if I had more than 15 students in that class, which most of them I did, then we divided the course into pod A, like group A.
Yeah.
Pod is become a kind of trendy word, but it's a group. Group A, Group B, and so on Monday's class, Group A would sit in front of sit in front of me in the classroom. Group B would watch online. On Wednesday, Group B would come to class and Group A would watch online. And then Friday, I could continue that sequence like A, B, or I could do a hybrid, like teach to both pods virtually.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's something.
So do you think that's going to be the norm? Will a student be able to go to Troy University and sit in a class and get his instruction for 4 years, or he or she will be involved with a computer or a laptop? Will they ever go back to
like my classes this fall, everything's returned to normal. So like if I have 20 students in a capacity for 33 in a classroom that's capacity for 33, all 20 will come every day.
That's good.
Unless they're enrolling in the hybrid classes.
Open air classes outside somewhere?
Yeah, some people did that. Some instructors would meet on the quad. They would meet outside. I like the air conditioning a good bit. So. And I like my computer, and I like having a table. Yeah. So, but yes, there were people who, in fact, I would see a lot of. So in Wallace Hall, we have the journalism and communication department, but we also have geomatics. And it seemed like some of the geomatics students were meeting a good bit more outside, which their field of study lends itself to that because they're often outside anyway. But I saw a couple of classes that regularly met, outside with their instruments.
Well, you're not only a teacher, but you're a housewife too, aren't you? Is that right?
I try.
You got two.
I try.
Two young.
Yeah, I do. I have two. I have Emery. She is 6. She's getting ready to enter 1st grade, and I have William, who's 4, and so he'll enter K4.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So, all teachers, instructors, they better be computer. So you're responsible for all your computer setup and.
Yes,
you have to have that.
Definitely the past year plus forced many people who were still kind of holding on to that paper in class only instruction, kind of pushed them into the online era, and
either that or pushed them into retirement.
Well, one thing about it, you also teach hands-on journalism as far as a student standing in front of a camera and giving the news or whatever. You do that too, don't you?
Well, I'm not teaching any broadcast courses right now, but I have, and yes, those kind of courses are the courses that, we don't want to teach online. We want to offer online for those who cannot physically. So we want to be flexible in our availability for people to be able to complete degrees at Troy University through online classes. But for some technical classes, it's nice to have the hands-on instruction or to have enough time and leeway to prepare a class in a digital format that still teaches those things. And I think that's what COVID may have, pushed us into. We were already Troy University's always been very advanced in online education. So we had the platform for it. We had the capacity for it. Many of our instructors, we had the structure for it. But some of our areas, it's like we knew that we could develop really good virtual instruction for hands-on practicum type courses, but the way we were thrown into it mid-semester, literally spring of 2020, wasn't really the way we wanted to go about doing it. But we adapted and we're flexible and have seen now how to do some of those things.
Yeah. The more we talk and the different you got students coming in for the first time, and of course they have to get oriented to college life. Do you see some kids have a little bit harder time getting oriented to college life?
I do. I think that I mentioned it earlier. I don't mean it in any disrespect to K through 12 education, but I think some of the things that teachers have been required or pushed to do in their classroom because of either state requirements or push from government boards have trickled down into collegiate education or expectations from those entering collegiate education, yet it's not necessarily methods or things that are going to equip a student to perform well in a professional environment. For example, I have one of my friends, a teacher, on Facebook last night. She's put a post talking about the new software she was going to use to notify parents when a grade is posted in the grade book, and she teaches 8th grade. And so then students, they've been cultivated to like that instant grading, instantly being able to see their grades. I remember when I was in college, like you did everything you could, and then like when grades were posted, it was kind of a surprise. You may have had a few tests that you got papers back and grades on, but you didn't always know. And I'm not saying that was maybe the absolute best, but I noticed on one of my reviews at the end of the semester, this past semester, on the question about efficiency in grading, someone made a comment and said I had to wait 3 days for my speech grade. Well, when I've listened to 35 speeches, and I also have someone who's in COVID quarantine and can't perform their speech, and I'm waiting to post grades until it's over. It's the instant. It's the Amazon mentality. It's the instant, I deserve this. They think they start with 100 points, and then they get points off as they do something wrong. Instead of the mentality, we start with a 0 and we earn. They don't know the earn part. They only know and so those things are difficult. And you have some parents who get that and understand that. I do think there was a time where the collegiate classroom was very rigid and wasn't flexible for those who did have different learning styles or different learning abilities. And so one of the great advantages that we've had in the collegiate classroom, I'd say in the past 10 years, is availability of resources through adaptive needs offices, through support centers like the Schmidt Center for Student Success. And so some of that support has been really nice for learners who in the past probably didn't have the supplemental resources that they needed to perform well in a traditional lecture style classroom. But the hand holding is there. The hand holding is there, and
there's other terms for that, but we can't say that.
When I teach my students, everything I teach is, will they be able to get a job? Would this, if you were talking to your boss, would this Is this how you would speak to them? Is this how you would interact with them? That's why some of my classes, they're allowed laptops because we do collaborative work online through software, Adobe, creating things. But for most of my classes, particularly introductory level, no laptops. They can sit in these classrooms and type all day long. I want them to write with pen. I tell them the first day of class, buy a notebook and buy a pen. And because I have certain situations that I'm in with clients or with executives where I can't just open my laptop and start taking notes. I have to either use my memory or I have to pay enough attention to the conversation to be able to remember it without taking notes, or I can take notes, but taking notes on a phone or a laptop would not be acceptable, and so I don't want them to be ill-equipped for situations like that.
And what classes will you teach this fall? And how many? Is it a normal load?
A basic lecture load, which is what I am, is 4 classes. Right now, I have primarily public relations courses, a fundamentals of speech, which is a speech class. So introductory level public relations, a public relations campaigns class, a principles of advertising.
When you say campaigns, like political?
No, public relations campaigns.
Okay.
Are you pretty much through by noon?
No, I teach till about 2. Most days.
So are your classes pretty much back to back, or do you?
Yes, I like my classes back to back. I say done by 2 because a lot of our students do either work in the evenings, or if they're working on broadcasts, preparing a show for the 5 o'clock news, they like to be done with classes so they can go out and report. So.
Yeah, I watch them, and I like your news. In fact, I watch it quite a bit. I think it's very informative. But at the same time,
I feel like I watch their news every night. I feel like Troy University's a feeder system down here at the beach. I feel like all these kids are like Troy University graduates. They're so young. You can tell they're right out of college. I know Rebecca worked down in the Panama City Beach Market. I know tons of Troy University students have too.
Yeah.
But and of course, they're all of them have a dream of being on the air and nationwide network and that thing. It doesn't always happen that way, does it? No. You can only have a few. And some of these people, I say, well, does that child actually think she can appear on a major network because she just looked like she didn't have the tools? And have you ever seen these somebody come in that just look that she would not do this work and then turn around and look like a movie star one day? Have you ever seen?
Yes.
Is that the girl that I taught in class and she's on that network?
Yeah. Well, as far as being equipped with the tools, most of our students who get involved with Trojan Vision, they have a reel tape and they have experience that, we have Aaron Taylor with Trojan Vision. He has people from all over the Southeast calling him when they know our students are getting ready to graduate, trying to hire. They know our students are equipped, and like I said, have the real tapes. They have the real hands-on experience. So I think students, as they produce more on-air stories, they see what's needed to be successful.
Yeah. And of course, some of them are going to make it, and some of them are not. But they can get a good education and a good degree in broadcast journalism. Is that right?
Yeah, they can. Yeah.
We'll be back right after this.
When it comes to surgery, precision is perfection. The very latest technology available ensures the best possible outcome. The Mako Robotic Arm-Assisted Surgery System is now available at Troy Regional Medical Center. Skilled orthopedic surgeon Dr. Robert L. Liljeberg and his team provide patients with faster recovery and better movement after a knee replacement surgery. When accuracy matters, you deserve the very best. Troy Regional Medical Center.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
This is my chart from Southeast Health.
And you're going to want to make it yours.
Not because it's free,
but because it's priceless. Because with my chart, you can schedule appointments online with your provider.
You can email your provider and get answers.
Get test results.
refill prescriptions,
and manage your family's health care. You know how we all want health care to be easier?
But no one seems to listen?
Well, someone did. Southeast Health.
To get your free My Chart app,
visit your app store or go to southeasthealth.org.
Troy Cable Security makes it easy to stay aware and stay in control of your home wherever you are. User-friendly interface allows easy navigation for lights, locks thermostat, video and garage doors. Never worry about leaving your garage door open or the front door unlocked. Your mobile app can send alerts to your phone for alarm and no alarm events. Know when your children arrive home from school with video response. Make sure your home is powered by Troy Cable Security for ultimate access, awareness, and protection.
Right. I mean, so that was wonderful. But
300 new kids in softball.
Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Sister's Restaurant, and I know you get a chance, every time you get a chance, you go to Sister's.
Yeah.
Of course, delicious vegetables and great menu, and food's always good at Sister's. And of course, we want to mention Little Caesars, probably the quickest meal in town if you're in a hurry is to drop by and pick up at and of course their pizza is just outstanding. It really is.
What about Gene Flowers? Can Morgan tell us anything about Gene Flowers?
Yeah, I know. Tell us about Gene Flowers.
Well, what would you like to know?
Who is Gene?
I actually don't know who Gene is, but of course Gene's Flowers is owned for years by Betty and Royce Dykes, and then my mother-in-law, Martha Lynn.
The Holcombs owned it before.
Okay.
The
Dykes.
Dykes.
Okay. See, that's a little bit further than I know, but Martha Lynn is running Gene's Flowers right now, and they have been, unfortunately, really busy with a lot of funerals.
I know, God, it's been
but I'm always amazed at what she can do.
Does she ever ask you, can you help out?
I can answer the phone and I can take orders, but I try to stay away from the flowers.
Yeah. But it is a wonderful store. And of course,
yes.
not only just you get most anything there as far as gift items and everything.
Yeah, I think that just to have small local businesses and being intentional about purchasing and buying services and products from smaller local businesses is a really important thing, particularly for, I have to remind myself, because there can be a lot of ease of accessibility for online purchasing, the Amazon purchasing and all of that, but as far as supporting individuals who have built our community through their businesses for years and years, I just have to be intentional about purchasing things that we can in town and from local people.
Of course, tell us who your husband is.
I always wonder, like, the flowers, though. Where do all the flowers come from? I mean, is there, like, a greenhouse?
Yeah. So the flowers, Martha Lynn has particularly 2 wholesalers that she purchases flowers from that are local out of Montgomery and Enterprise, and those wholesalers purchase flowers from larger wholesalers, and most of the flowers are grown out of the country. They're cut, they're boxed, they're called dry packs, and then they're shipped. And so, flowers, I think a lot of people may not realize, are very much like plants and produce. I mean, you can see pictures of flowers online through these pictures, particularly through major sites like Teleflora and things like that, but that doesn't always mean that's exactly what she has in stock, because with flowers, they live so long and then they do die, and so she can't keep 400 of every stem of flower in stock. And so I think one of the things that is a misconception is you can go on the internet and you can even go to her website. You can get lost in a lot of these national websites, but you can even go to her website. But the pictures of the products are examples, not the actual flower arrangement, if that makes sense. Like, they are examples, they are suggestions, they are ideas for what a style could look like for an arrangement.
Yeah. Well, you don't know exactly who's going to get these flowers and everything, but do you have a lot of flowers on hand, or or how quickly can you get flowers?
Yeah, with 24 hours notice, she can get just about anything except for some really strange tropical things like birds of paradise and things, because some of her wholesalers deliver every day. But a lot of the calls come in, that morning for delivery that day. And so if you're looking for something specific, a lot of people like a specific color rose or a specific type of lily, try to think about it at least a day in advance, if not, 2 days.
That brings up another topic. These international students probably are getting flowers almost every day from, do you have that?
I don't know so much. They do appreciate flowers, though, but their how they purchase flowers in their home country is very different. They have a lot of flower markets, like a lot of street vendors that sell.
Can they get it to us? Those type things.
Yes. Also, with speaking about the flower shop, one of the best things you can do in ordering flowers is pick up the phone and call the flower shop directly. 566-2480. It is, and like I said, I know working double toddler mom, like I get it. It can be so easy, especially late at night, to get on the internet and place that order. But because of how that order system works, through that national syndicate of jeansflowerstroy.com, they take a percentage of those sales and then charge you a fee. And so if you can, now sometimes you may not be able to because, you've got to get this done. There are things I pay service fees for because I've got to get it done late at night when the kids are at bed. And if I don't, I won't get it done the next day. There's those special circumstances. But when you can, pick up the phone and call the flower shop directly. We usually charge in town Troy $5 delivery. Online, they're going to charge you $10 delivery. So you can really.
Do they deliver every day?
Oh yes. Oh, well, Monday through Friday, and then for weekends, if it's funerals, and there's several pieces they deliver, but they deliver to Brundage. Of course, you have Brundage Florist and Brundage as well. That reaches out a little bit further, past Brundage.
Y'all own them too?
No, we don't. But they're, we're in Troy and we will deliver to Brundage. But sometimes we get calls for deliveries like a little bit past Brundage, and Martha Lynn and the girls at the store, they try to say, the Brundage, the florist in Brundage, since their home base is Brundage, they can go a little bit further. So those county roads and things like that we may not be able to get to as easily.
No telling. Sometimes you're working late at night.
Oh yeah, Martha Lynn works on particularly pieces for funeral work 7 days a week.
Yeah,
and you
can ride by the place.
You can ride by the store, and there can be store hours posted on the glass, but. Think about a lot of your funeral services are on Saturdays and Sundays, and flowers are not something you can make, days in advance. And also the turnaround time, is if you are in an unfortunate circumstance or you have a loved one who's passed away, there's so many hard decisions to make, and it's a lot to think about. But if you would like to have, certain flowers, go ahead and try to give the flower shop a call. And all the funeral homes in Troy, know how to contact Martha Lynn any hour, any time of the day, because the more time we have, more likely they can get what you would want. And that's usually important. People, as they pass away, they think about their favorite colors. They think about a style flower that would be expressive of that person. And so we want to be able to fulfill that. But obviously in Troy, too, we have to get things from Montgomery and from even further than that. And so the more time that we have, the more availability of those options.
Now, you're married to a very artsy person.
Yes.
A guy that is probably got more energy than any one person in Troy. Tell us about him.
Except for his own children.
Is he involved in the flower business?
Oh yeah. He and Martha Lynn are both very creative. and really have an eye for the color and texture that's needed to create.
So he works full time for the university and pretty much full time for the
he works full time for the university. Also
Martha
working.
Lynn, you didn't realize you were getting such a commercial this morning for Jean's Flowers. Of course, it is the most convenient place to order flowers in the world, I would think.
Well, what is the age difference between Rob and Hawkins?
2 years.
Yeah. Of course, he's my buddy, too. And
are they still, are him and Amy still up in Birmingham?
Yes, they're up in Birmingham, and they just welcomed their second child, Birdie, a little girl. So now they have two girls.
KT Cole's excited, isn't he?
Oh yes.
But
yes.
I know he's excited about that new child.
Yes. So Rob at the university is director of advertising, so he's still able to use that creative kind of intuition to create advertising.
Probably many times he leaves the university to go to the flower shop.
Sometimes he does. He tries to. We try to help on big weddings and events and things like that. But he stays pretty busy at the university.
Tell me, what is the most busiest time? Is it what did you say, Easter or Valentine's? Of course, you say Valentine's.
So Valentine's has traditionally been the busiest holiday. Second would probably be Mother's Day. Yeah. And behind that, probably some of the prom weekends.
Yeah.
And in those years that someone thought it was a good idea for prom to be on Mother's Day weekend.
Yeah. Oh, that was really something.
Yeah, I can imagine how many colleges on prom.
Right, the prom. But that, and that's such a special thing, too, because so many parents have ordered flowers for their children for prom and for special occasions. When you can think about doing flowers for a child's baby shower, all the way to their daddy-daughter dance, their prom flowers, and then their wedding flowers. It's a nice cycle.
Used to homecoming.
Gift baskets and stuff too, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. We have fruit gift baskets, snack baskets. Had a cheer clinic at the university, cheer competition, I guess, at the university a few weeks ago.
That's right.
And we did over 150 snack baskets in 3 days.
Oh, that was great. Coming from the parents to the...
Yeah, from the parents, grandparents, boyfriends.
Did they go through y'all, pretty much, the parents? Even though they were from out of town.
Because we delivered on site. And so a lot of them weren't able to travel. And they got some flowers, too. But, we have snack baskets, fruit baskets, plants, dish gardens.
Back when I was in school, the big deal, homecoming, you had to buy a corsage, and that was big. That was big. It doesn't seem like it's as big as it used to be.
I don't think it's as big as it used to be. They usually get like mom corsages for the homecoming court and maybe a few people, but not like every person attending the football game gets a corsage. Maybe seniors.
That's right.
Yeah.
But that used to be a big thing, for homecoming, pretty much was more biggest time, I reckon.
Another service I think the flower shop offers that can be really helpful to a lot of people is, as you do have loved ones that pass away and you have their special site, the cemetery, a lot of times you buy these marble urns or you want to keep flowers on the grave site, but it can be hard to remember to trade those out or to think about that. And so something Martha Lynn will do is she has a box with index cards with people's names on it that just go ahead and say 4 times a year
and bill them.
And bill them, and so you don't have to think about it. And so if you ever go out to the cemetery, there's always something out there.
I think that's really a good idea.
And so you can just kind of go ahead and plan, 4 times a year, whether it's Mother's or Father's Day or a birthday or a certain month, or you can just say 4 times a year, every 3 months. And so you don't have to remember to replenish that, because sometimes people think, oh, I've got a place out at Green Hills and somebody's having a funeral there next week. I want to make sure.
That's artificial flowers.
Yeah, artificial silk flowers. And now with silk flowers, they're gonna fade. I mean, there are, but she does get some really high quality silk flowers that are more resistant. You also she has a good eye for colors that If you get yellow lilies and they fade to white, well, they just look like white lilies.
But somebody, I'm sure y'all coordinate with Benny quite a bit, don't you?
Yeah, she has, she has a map, and so if you know the location, you know the area number, or if you just have the name, she can locate that. And
of course, she's handling the flowers, but she coordinates a lot of times with Benny Pinkard and so forth.
Yeah, and many of the other cemetery sites. And so if you're particularly from out of town and people think, oh, I just can't get to Troy to get flowers to go on a grave, you can call them and they'll do that for you.
Sure, that's great. We learned a lot this morning, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, Jean's Flowers on South Grundy Street, right here in Troy. And of course, I've known Martha Lynn all her life, and she's a wonderful person. And of course,
her poor sister had to teach me math in college. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's right. Did a good job. So, of course, our guest host
I don't even know what kind of math it was. It was like Mickey Mouse math. Something I've never even heard of before.
My guest host is Morgan Drinkin this morning, and of course, we learned about the university and learned about the teaching to these university students. And I would like to ask one more. I'm concerned a little bit about the actually on-campus enrollment, because now there'll be a lot of computerized courses. Is that right?
I think that concern is valid, but from what I am told, that our on-campus Troy enrollment is up.
That is wonderful.
And so I think we have a really great
and most of these are American. Team. Most of these are American students.
Yes. Traditional. What I call a traditional student is an 18 to 23, 24-year-old. Now, if that's not in line with what Buddy and his team call, I'm sorry, but I'm told that enrollment for Troy campus is up. That traditional student, because like I said earlier, I think there is a desire among many young people to do something that feels normal. They've done these online classes, they've done virtual learning. And I think there have been some older students or some non-traditional students too who have seen the advantages to, I knew Troy always had a robust online course offering, but now I'm really seeing, because I've been forced into it, I'm really seeing the opportunities to work and complete a degree, and that's great. But I think our traditional on-campus students, they're coming.
I'll tell you right now, I can see that 8 o'clock student and that 9 o'clock student is trying to sleep late.
Well, look, I registered students.
Trying to sleep late, and I'll go take my course online.
Well, I registered some students for a course. We start our courses in the journalism department at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
We have a technologies and journalism.
You got a 7 o'clock class.
We do. We have a 7 o'clock class.
I thought those didn't exist anymore, didn't you, Mike?
Well, we have a computer lab. We have a computer lab, and it only has so many computers in it, and we have so many classes we have to teach in that lab. So in order to get all those classes in, we have to offer that. And also for many of our students who want to work in news, they need to get used to that time frame, right?
Exactly right. Exactly
right. I guess we had you on since Troy Fest. What was the recap? How did everything go?
Yeah, Troy Fest went well. It may be hard for many people to remember, but we had some inclement weather both Friday and Saturday night.
I couldn't help it. I thought about you, but I couldn't help but think about Rob, because hey, this guy wants things to be right, and it was pretty tough going.
Didn't Wally Lowry have his tent fall apart?
Yeah, there were a lot of people. I think people know about Wally just because he's local, but we had a lot of artists who had tents that were damaged. Also, we thankfully our city grounds and utilities, our grounds department worked diligently Friday evening to get sandbags to all the artists so that they could weight down their tents. Some of them didn't feel that was necessary until about 10 o'clock that night, and a nice storm came through and blew their tents across the square. I think when Rob got up to the square Saturday morning at about 6 o'clock, he and Leanne, there were 8 to 10 tents that had blown completely away. And so, you know, you may have seen some artists at Troy Fest this year that didn't have their stuff under a tent. That's not a new rule we have. We require a tent, but some of them, it blew away. And some of them, Saturday evening, we were at the artist gathering, you know, 6:30, 7 p.m., I believe, and these just gusts of wind, and this is after Friday night, so most people had their tents weighted down, and still just tents blowing everywhere.
You didn't have these folks trying to sleep under their tent, did you?
Only one, but only one this year. But you know, Stephanie Baker was in SIPS and called me and said, there's tents flying around out here. And I said, well, you know, we told them to secure their tents. We have all the tents weighted down. Are you sure? She said, yeah, you might want to come take a look. And when I got up to the square, yes, they were flying around.
But now Saturday was pretty tough, but Sunday was
beautiful. Sunday was beautiful. We had a good turnout. The artists sold. Our artists, they love coming to Troy.
That's what I was glad that people paid for art.
That's right. That's right. They were so eager to be at a festival after the COVID year. You know, this is their livelihood. It's they create art because they like it, but it's also part of, you know, their means, and so they wanted to sell.
Exactly right. Of course, y'all were right in the middle of it.
A situation, I mean, I know you want to advertise downtown Troy and all the restaurants and shops and everything, but I mean, is there ever a possibility to move to an indoor option, or is that just something I never want to do?
I don't think we've ever discussed that. I think there's so much about the festival that an indoor option would take away from. So I don't think unless it were required or unless there was some major push.
Where would you move, Mike? The Rock Building?
I mean, your Cattleman's or something.
I didn't know if you could do something maybe out of the Troy Sportsplex out there at their facilities, but I was just wondering if that was.
You know, I think if there were a reason that we needed to consider that, if it was you can't have the festival unless it's indoors thing, that would be a conversation. But for right now, there's so much about the outdoor festival that I think would be lost if we moved indoors.
How did Rob handle the situation like he had Friday and Saturday? You know, and then of course you had to get. But you know, Rob, is he even tempo, or did he get?
He's not going to sit around and think about it. He's going to do something. So you know, we and like I said, working with Leanne and working with the city, when we saw the forecast for a type of weather. You know, their first thing was, okay, let's get sandbags here. Let's weight it down. But, you know, some of the artists didn't think that was necessary. They thought that might get in the way. And then when the tent started flying, I mean, he tried to catch them, you know.
You know, you've seen them all. You've seen all of the festivals and so forth. Mm-hmm. How does ours rate with other towns around?
I think that over the years, the quality of artists that we've had attend the festival is a testament to the kind of the validity of the festival. You can go down the list of Kentucky artists, you know, over the past 10 years, and you will see a lot of the same names of people who have been at Troy Fest. Yeah. And so, you know, our goal is to, yes, there will be artists there that have a variety of type of pieces, but we like to stay true to that folk art nature of the festival, and Kentucky to me is just kind of one of the kind of beacons of the folk art world. And so when you have artists that are showing both at Troy Fest and at Kentucky, once again, I think that's
Kentucky's Tuscaloosa.
Kentucky's Tuscaloosa. Northport is Northport.
Okay.
Held in Northport, and it's held in the fall each year. And like I said, I think the testament of artists that we've had over the years, you know, the Chris Beck, the artists that have. I think a progression is, you know, Troy Fest and Kentucky, and then it seems like they move into Jazz Fest in New Orleans.
Mike, she mentioned.
I don't even know how many years did it go back? Because I remember when I was a little kid, I'd go out to the Pike County Museum or whatever out there. When did it move from the museum to downtown?
I think it's been between 15 and 20 years.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact year. I know one of the years I was working on the festival, it was the 10th year celebration of it being Troy Fest.
And back then you had to worry more about mosquitoes than anything else.
It was the June Lake Festival this Festival.
Yes, Gene Lake Festival. And Troy Fest, the official name, Troy Fest Art and Craft Festival, held in honor of our memory of Gene Lake is the official name. I mean, that is, and that's why our Gene Lake folk art category is so important. And so as people, evolve in their style and their taste for buying art, we want to make sure we're still providing that folk art heritage.
And I
How
tell you,
about these vendors? Do they have the technology now to like run cards?
Oh yeah. Almost all of them take credit cards and yes, they accept Venmo, PayPal, all of that kind of stuff. They have to.
I tell you what, I don't know how many times people have said this, but Rob Drinkard, we owe a lot to you, man, because this is a great program that you've set up, that you're running, and I hope you will continue.
Well, I think that the success of something like Troy Fest,
does he really enjoy it? Like he does.
He does enjoy it, but I think that one of the things that make it such a success is the foundation of the festival over the years. When you had, you had the Troy Arts Council, and you had Christy Drinkwater and Stephanie Baker, and you had those people who built a foundation for, quite honestly, to be easy to take over, because they did the hard work, because they figured out what worked and what didn't for 10 years. And
it's amazing, all the individuals over the years. It'd be a long list, wouldn't it?
Yes, a long list. And so he does enjoy doing it, and I'm thankful that God has really blessed him with an ability to enjoy being around people and kind of thrive off of doing things like this.
And if you want your Christmas tree decorated, he can do that. He needs to look at my Christmas tree. He'd be hiring me. I'm big. Hey, I leave mine up till about April.
Yeah. When you worked hard.
Your Christmas tree is getting it back upstairs.
Yeah, but let me just say this, that I would keep mine up year round if they would let me.
Well, Mom won't live the beach anyway. So
don't worry about that. Of course, we appreciate Troy Bank and Trust Company, the only bank you'll ever need. And of course, I want to mention also Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass. And Jason, he's helping y'all. I know. He does it for everybody. He's just so community oriented.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Well, Morgan, we definitely love to see you today. You add a different dimension to our show.
Add some estrogen to it.
And a lot of energy.
When can I get my copy of Troy Life that you're in? When do I get that?
That's right. I reckon. Yeah, it's on right now. You can see it right now. That old man standing in the end zone.
And, I thought that maybe you lost your arm in that picture.
That's right. I have one arm.
I guess you're holding it behind your back.
That's right. Just holding it behind my back. And that was a pretty setting, though. I like that background and all that.
Well, they'll be out there practicing in about 2 weeks.
I know, exactly right. You get excited about football?
Yes, I am. I saw the schedule. So first home game looks like September 4th, I think.
Yeah, that's right. We're second. I think it's September the 2nd, I want to say.
Whatever the Saturday.
First home.
Okay.
Oh, gosh. Now, look here. I'm looking at it
right
here.
Let's see. It's right here.
But it
September the 4th, Southern. September 11th is Liberty.
Yeah, you need to go ahead and buy your tickets now and get ready for the football.
That Liberty game is going to be a huge game for Troy.
Now, I haven't looked at all these dates. Are all of these Saturdays, or there's some week games?
No, let's see. Most of these,
those are home.
There might be a Thursday night game on television.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I think App State could be a night game. I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
Y'all have a good day.
You do too. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Morgan, for being with us. And hope to see you tomorrow. Of course, you can watch us again at 1:30. We'll see you. Good.